It's been 2 weeks since the horrific shooting and murders in Parkland, Florida at the high school, and communities across the country wrestling over how to keep our schools safe. Lawmakers debating gun control, background checks, armed teachers, armed security guards. Meanwhile, threats against schools seem to be on the rise. In Poughkeepsie today, schools were closed because of a threat on social media. And in Ridgewood, New Jersey, the principal sent out a letter encouraging parents to discourage their kids from participating in a Nerf gun fight. We'll have all those details in a little bit. But first, I want to check in with Ashley Johnson, who is in Trenton today. Ashley?
On the first day students headed back to school in Parkland, Florida after the mass shooting 2 weeks ago, gun reform was a hot topic in Trenton Wednesday as 7 bills that would tighten the state's gun laws were up for debate at an Assembly Judiciary Committee public hearing.
If it hasn't happened here yet, it's because we've been blessed. And it is incumbent upon us to act. And while we don't have all the details, I can tell you that as we sit here today, there's an active investigation in South Jersey, in the 6th District, in a community that I live, and in a school that all of my children have attended. And there was an arrest made. And it is but for the grace of God that it has not happened here yet.
The bills include creating a gun violence restraining order in which family members can present a case to a judge if they have any suspicions, and making it mandatory for police to take away someone's guns if a mental health professional determines a person is at risk to themselves or others.
Common sense tells us that if assault weapons are the weapon of choice for these mass shooters over and over, why don't we ban assault weapons as New Jersey has had a ban for many, many years?
There was an overflow room for those who wanted their voices heard. Many in favor testified, and those opposed were just as passionate.
By disarming me and other law-abiding Americans, you are doing a disservice to not only yourself, your children, your grandchildren, and all of our children and future generations.
New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy has made it clear he is eager to sign the gun reform bills into law. In Trenton, I'm Ashley Johnson, reporting for Chasing News.
Thank you, Ashley. All right, to bring this back locally to a high school in our area, Ridgewood High School, the principal on Monday sent a letter to parents imploring them to discourage their kids from participating in what has become an annual event over the past 10 or so years called Dart Wars. It's kids running around town off school property, shooting each other with Nerf guns. I'm joined now by Lawrence Fine, who is a freshman at Ridgewood High School. What are your thoughts on Nerf guns, and do you think they contribute to a culture of violence?
I don't think Nerf guns contribute significantly to gun violence and gun culture and violence in our country.
All right, let me ask you something, Lawrence. You and I talked last week, and you've got a rally coming up on March 14th. You're asking kids to walk out of school. When you do this, you're advocating for gun control. Where do you really fall on this?
I do think we should ban certain types of guns like AK-47s and other types of assault weapons. I definitely support background checks. Background checks will help get guns away from criminals and other people who shouldn't be trusted with a firearm.
Do you believe in the value of the Second Amendment and people's right to defend themselves?
I do believe in the Second Amendment. What I don't support is criminals and terrorists having weapons and killing Americans.
And you know the NRA doesn't support criminals and terrorists having weapons, right?
Not directly, but what the NRA wants is just as much weapons to be sold as possible so that they can make the most money.
Thanks for coming on. I'm sure we'll be talking as your rally date approaches.
Okay, thank you.
Lawrence. Let's bring in the A+ panel to break this down. I'm joined by immigration attorney Afia Yunus, back with us. Good to see you, Afia. Elora Nanos, columnist for Law and Crime and an attorney. Good to see you. Thanks for coming back. And Mike Korobanix, an attorney, is here with us again. Mike, I'm going to start with you. Nerf guns. So you got a principal. Now listen, there's a serious climate out there. Kids are rightfully scared. Given how the adults have acted, from law enforcement to the FBI, all up and down, kids have a right to be scared going to school today. I don't think all these schools are protected. But a principal making a point to tell parents to encourage your kids not to play Nerf gun wars seems a little bit absurd to me.
Bill, I think we're going to agree on that point. I think we have to be mindful of what's going on out there, but we also have to still instill in our children that we are basically in a safe environment, a cautious environment right now, and a scary one. But I don't think we should add to like a paranoia, because when you go to paranoia, you just lack common sense on how to deal with
Lord,
things.
to that point, you tell the kids not to play Nerf gun wars outside. Half of them are going home to play Call of Duty on their video games.
Yeah, well, I think it's all bad, and I couldn't disagree more with Mike. I think that glorifying things like playing with guns and anything violent is always a bad thing. It always desensitizes young people to violence. It doesn't mean that it's going to cause every young person to become an active shooter someplace, but I do think that it has a bad effect on society as a whole, and I don't see any problem with an authority figure like a principal saying, don't do this, or at least think twice about what this means to participate.
Is it time to ban toy guns? Is that where we're headed?
Well, in my home, they are banned. So I don't. I have a policy in my home of no guns, no Call of Duty, no violent video games, just because it's smart parenting.
But if you can't separate fantasy with a Nerf gun from a real gun, I think you got bigger problems.
Now, Bill, my dad taught me to shoot at 12 years old, and I have no toy guns in my house, and I don't like to glorify violence. I'm okay.
All right, good to see you guys. Thanks for being here. We will see you all soon.